Hello and welcome. It is me, Hans. You're on Offense Politics Deutschland, and I'll be covering the war in Ukraine. So, initially, in the start, on the 24th of February, the Russian forces had entered these three villages, and they took it with medium fighting because the Ukrainian general in charge of this sector was uh, was expecting a Russian attack, and so he made sure that his troops had a high level of readiness. Later on, the Russians, by later on, I mean a few minutes, a few hours after this attack, or maybe simultaneously, they had taken Bahachka and they took this village. And these two villages were also taken, and some Ukrainian captives were taken because they could not flee from this direction. The attack on Troitsky initially stalled after they took this village, but a later attack the next day had taken Troitsky because they had been bogged down for an entire day because of the fighting going on, because the general of Ukraine, he was prepared for this attack in this direction. All right, over in this direction, uh, the Russians had initially taken Reznikove, uh, and later on they attacked Buzove, and then they are not later on really they attacked back to back these villages, and they rushed to this line of villages. It was important for them on the tactical level, so they had to take these they were able to take this line. And uh, for now we'll keep this sector at this because another unit down south was had entered Kolodiazny. Immediately after attacking Kolodiazny, they sent a column into High Horivka, and they then village hopped onto Mali Burluk. They took this, and they went over to Dovzhanka. Right. So after this was taken, these line of villages were taken. The Ukrainians, they pulled back from this direction, and they established a front line in this direction. They took positions in this direction, but this open field was you could say it was risky to to pass through here, since the Ukrainians could attack. But the Russians, they solved the problem by just ordering airstrikes, and they suppressed these two villages. They suppressed the forces there, and they did not use artillery fire to prevent any attacks. Any attacks were beaten back, and they were able to take Novo Alexandrivka with some casualties. Two BMP-2s were disabled while attacking Novo Alexandrivka, and no other losses were reported, but I suspect that there was. Either way, they were able to take Novo Alexandrivka, and uh, they could have stopped there, but they did not. Right, so after taking Novo Alexandrivka, the Russians um, have had the brilliant idea of rushing onto Syria Yar, because Ukrainian front line, it wasn't very much in depth. They could not scramble enough forces to stop this attack. They were not able to stop this attack because not only were they not expecting this, and not only that, but their forces were scattered as well. And they were able to take Syria Yar, and after that, we got reports of Russian forces taking Vovchansk. And it was done, this attack in this direction was done by the General Emir Manov, and this direction was handled um, uh, by General Andrei, and I don't know the rest of his name because I forgot. And he is in a rush to Billy Kolodias and was able to take this. This was the Ukrainians, they retreated because they were in risk of being encircled. A good push would get this force encircled. So after they withdrew, this Russian front that was initially overextended, you could say, was now bolstered by this entire sector being taken by the Russians. So, and now they were able to supply Novo-Alexandrivka properly. And Novo-Alexandrivka did send a few convoys onto Syria with air support, air cover, and so no Ukrainians were able to attack them. And the Ukrainian planes, they were not in a position to do anything, to scramble to the air, because they were being hunted by. Um, Actually, they were a lot of them were destroyed in the Ukrainian air bases. We don't know how many. And the Ukrainians, they were not able to scramble any jets to this direction. So after taking Syria, the Russians amassed some forces in that direction, and they attacked Ploske. They took Ploske, and they took Ploske because the attack on Veliki Burluk had been repelled. And as this happens, the Ukrainians, they not as this happened, but we got reports that they had withdrawn to Veliki Burluk from this direction. I do not know when it happened, but it did happen, and they had withdrawn to this position. So all of this, all of this is now Russian. I'm not sure about Pavlivka. I think that is still Ukraine. Yeah, I think that is still Ukraine. But all of this was taken under Russian control, and we'll have to see what happens next. And I think there was an attack towards Katarnivka, but we will see. We will see. We have no information right now on that direction. And now General Andre is attacking in this direction and towards Kharkov, and it's nothing special. They're just advancing through the highways and village hopping in this direction. Nothing too special. The Ukrainians, though, have gotten reinforcements in Kharkov. Just today, they arrived. The first tank brigade of the Ukrainians. Additionally, the Russians had broken through in this direction. They had attacked towards Krovne. They were trying to encircle this, but the Russians, after they took Marivka, they were faced with a counterattack from the Ukrainian general who had driven them back from Marivka, and they have driven the Russians back from Krovny. They were not able to take Krovny. And after taking Krovny, they attacked towards Khotin, they attacked towards Prostolne. I think Prostolne is under Russian control. But this allowed some Ukrainian units to withdraw orderly. But of course, their rear was harassed and a lot of men died. But this entire area, I think, is under Russian control now. But we have no confirmation yet. Now we have gotten a report of Russian convoys entering Policia and in this general direction. I think it was my friend drew it on the map, and it was something like this. It was the Russian control was something like this. They've taken over these villages, and we will have to wait for video confirmation and many other sorts of confirmation to draw conclusions. Now, of course, the Russians had also tried to take Semenivka. They were able to take Mykolaiivka. They entered Mykolaiivka, and then they attacked towards Ivanivka. And that will cut off Semenivka soon if they are able to continue their attack. So I think the Ukrainians will withdraw from here. And in this direction, the Russians have advanced through this highway. They've taken Christine, and then they attacked towards Poliske and are assaulting Lisny and Holubivka as we speak. So if you notice, this attack looks a bit familiar to a certain object. You know, it looks like a foot of somebody. Anyways, and over in this direction, the Russians have taken Isman, as far as I know, as far as the reports go, and they've also attacked Pervomaisky. They've taken Pervomaisky, and the Ukrainian troops that were present here in this direction, they were able to withdraw, but a few people were captured. Like 20 or 30 people were captured in this direction. That's all we know. And those are all the attacks that we know of. I think there are more attacks coming soon. But overall, Ukraine is putting up a good fight, but they are being absolutely stomped right now. They are being beaten left and right, but we will see what happens in the future. So stay tuned for the next episode. I will sign off now. Goodbye.